mind kind of describe your current position, team composition, industry, that type of stuff, where there's a little the synopsis.
So I'm the HSE corporate manager for an independent oil and gas drilling company. I am in charge of all things health, safety, and environment related. Have a team. We're a company of up to 1,200 employees and fully staffed, and I manage supervisors and field safety personnel. Could be, we've had as many as 18 people in the field-based employees plus supervisors and office-based admins.
Okay. So what would you say your leadership style is, and how has it changed, if at all, over your career?
So I would say that my leadership style is more like consultative than a dictatorship style. I like to ask people what they think. I like to promote people to, whenever they bring problems, to also bring solutions or ideas for solutions. I believe that people are the solutions to our problems, not people are the problem that we have to correct. I'm very you believe in using a lot of human factors type approaches, understanding that there's a huge difference between a culture of accountability versus a culture of credibility. I believe everything's should be based upon credibility. With a credible organization and a credible team, you have a lot of trust, which leads into high morale and people sticking around. How have things changed? In my earliest years of management, I was very much an iron fist kind of guy, but I believed in accountability. If an employee didn't do what they were told to do, you chop their head off, and you forget don't worry about the consequences of what's going on and stuff. At that time they failed me, I didn't fail them. Whereas now I realize that, if I lose an employee because they didn't make it, I take that personal, that I didn't figure out how to utilize their skills and talents in order to be successful within the organization and within the team.
Okay, that's a great answer. So what would you think, as far as you took like conflict management or team building or kind of one of those event scenarios, what would you say the most important aspect of your role as a manager is, or a combination thereof?
Having personal relationships with my reports, and it all starts with the fact that I don't ever believe in saying that I'm not a hierarchical manager. I don't believe in hierarchies. I do believe there is a chain of command, but I believe that every person from the top to the bottom on that chain of command, if you will, has equal importance to the success or failure of the team. And instead of making it a point to state that employees work for me, or to remind people that they work for me, or to make people feel like they work for me, I make a vow to new people their day one that I want it to be a team where we all work together. We all have our own roles. We work with each other. We don't work for anybody. We work for our families that we support. Other than that, at work, and within our team and our organization, we work with each other. And I think that requires you to have personal relationships with folks. You need to know what makes them tick. You need to know what are their buttons to push, and which buttons not to push. You need to know how to identify what a person's strengths are in their skill set. That way you are um, magnifying their skill sets and not trying to make everybody work like they're a machine where everybody's doing the same tasks the same way at the same time to get the same product at the end of the day. I believe in creativity and individuality within the team. That's what makes a good team.
What is some advice you received as a young person, young manager that you've used to kind of get to where you are today?
Probably the two things there's two that really stand out more than any other. One is probably the first thing was you don't have to like someone in order to work for them or work with them. You don't have to like them in order to do that. And that's been pretty important and pretty profound at times. I find everywhere that we're at, there's always those personality types that my personality or your personality is not going to mesh with really well. But that doesn't mean that we can't still work together and be successful. The other piece of advice was I had an old man tell me one time that I need to quit worrying about looking for a job and go out and find myself a career. And I didn't understand what the difference was. He told me job, if all you ever, is an acronym for just over broke. And as long as you're just looking for a job, you'll never be more than just over broke. Whereas with a career, you choose how your career path works and how it goes and what the end date is and what the end results are. And you can set yourself up for success for a lifetime with a career. So those are probably the two best pieces of advice that I ever received.
That's good. So this would be a good one, especially from the energy sector and come up with there. Is like, how do you handle conflicts and disagreements within the team, and then how do you kind of build that EQ within your subset of the organization?
I believe conflict resolution is something that should be handled face to face, and I believe that you have to provide an environment that is not threatening, a very non-threatening environment. And if you've got conflicts within your team, to bring the parties that are in conflict together and just say, hey, I want to know. We're going to leave here today realizing that we're all contributing. We're all contributing members to this team, but we have to support each other. And in order to support each other, we can't have all this backbiting and things like that. So I need to know what is it that specifically that you want to address with this person, and give them an open floor and opportunity with no judgment. And you have to be real careful to diffuse defensive cycles and aggression and things like that. But with a little bit of patience and trust, within your team, as long as you have trust, you should be able to say whatever you want to say or need to say to each other without causing further harm. So it's about establishing the trust, but getting people face to face. And every time they've done that, we've never, it was real easy for them to have conflict, never in situation when they weren't in each other's presence. But as soon as you put them in front of each other,
how much does adaptability contribute to your role?
The conflict dissipates.
It's a commodity-based industry. You got to be adaptable every day.
I also thought that was pretty. You never know. Just whenever you think things are booming and it looks like there's 10 more years of nothing but upward growth. Somebody somewhere in a geopolitical move,
the energy sector with internal and external factors, adaptability is pretty important. But
industry to plummet, and it doesn't just plummet. It's falls completely off of a cliff. So adaptability is huge. Right now, for instance, I'm normally my career for 10 plus years at Shaw Drilling has been office-based, with some field visits and things like that. But it's always been very temporary. It's also been getting out in front of the face of the industry, as a representative for the company and such. And with current market situations like it is, I'm actually spending 2 weeks at a time in the field, supporting, the rigs and the field-based employees versus being office-based. So adaptability it's paramount in any commodity-based industry. If you're not flexible, you're gonna fall by the wayside. That's for sure.
It'll be a tough ride, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's terrible.
So if you go back to the start of this pandemic, and the adaptability comes into play here, because it's not only a pandemic, but you've got the oil market falling out as well. When that first started to roll out, if you take your expectations and thoughts then and where it is now, what's the difference? I mean, did it kind of roll like you thought it was going to, or have you had to make some further changes in that interim?
On a personal level, I've started off just thinking it was, oh, here we go again. They're one of those, seasons, and they're blowing it up to sound like something crazy because of political year and how polarized our politics, government, and our people are. And, it felt like it was a big political ploy move. As a matter of fact, I was, mocked it as being the Kung flu. I had to kick off a conference of about 300 people back in February, and it was mid-February, and we've been hearing about the coronavirus some, and Wuhan was just going into lockdown, and the common joke around was Kung flu and stuff. But I kicked off this conference by talking about a conversation that I had had with my son about teaching him the importance of a handshake. And, I'd noticed that morning whenever I was walking around that there were some people who would give a good handshake and there were some people that didn't. And I don't know if the people who didn't give a good handshake even knew that they gave a poor handshake. So, I challenged the group. I said, hey, who all likes sloppy handshakes or the dead fish handshake, or the tips of the fingers. Of course, nobody raised their hands. Well, who all's got a good handshake? Well, everybody hand went up. And I said, well, how do you know if you've not gotten feedback? So I actually sent 300 plus people around through a conference hall, shaking each other's hands and giving feedback and stuff. So I thought that it was all over the place. Over the course of the next 3 to 4 weeks, I started seeing how I started getting actually a little bit perturbed, to be honest with you. All of our customers and all of our vendors and different people contacting us, sending us emails about what their coronavirus or their COVID-19 plans are. And, everybody's just washing hands and there's hand sanitizers and there's a toilet paper shortage. And there was that frustration. But then all of a sudden it became real, and I don't know where it became. And, we had to take and develop our plans. How do we protect our employees? How do we make sure that we're not sending people sick home to their families? How do we get the cleaning supplies that we need? How do we communicate these things to our customers? We're working remote work sites, things like that. How do we support our field-based people by even us as managers and stuff not visiting too much or potentially carrying illness from rig to rig. Within the industry, we have an association, International Association of Drilling Contractors, and we communicated through them and other associations within the oil and gas industry, and came up with some plans and documents and stuff to help each other. But that's one really cool thing about working in the HSE side of the industry, of the energy industry, is it's all about networking. It's about protecting the employee.